Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.
Focus, a weekly program where we zoom in on what's happening within and throughout the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, your government. Countries around the world observed International Men's Day on November 19. Now, the Department of Gender Affairs here in St. Kitts joined in the celebration, organizing a series of activities that will run throughout the month. On today's program, we'll take a look at the impact of the global observance of International Men's Day and various issues affecting men here in the Federation. Joining us for this discussion are Dion Brown, Gender Field Officer, Dr. Matthias Offrey, National HIV/AIDS Coordinator, and Chaddy Garnett, Community Development Officer. Stay with us as we delve into your government, your business. Thanks for staying with us and allow me now to welcome Mr. Brown back to InFocus. Of course, Mr. Brown, you're no stranger to InFocus. For the first time, we have Dr. Matthias Offrey and also Mr. Chaddy Garnett. Both of you are newcomers. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
There is a lot to get in. We have quite a number of areas that I want to touch on, so we're going to jump right into it and talk about International Men's Day. What does it mean to each of you? And Mr. Brown, I'll let you go last because, of course, you're the gender expert, you're in the field. So I want to hear from Dr. Offrey and Mr. Garnett. What does International Men's Day mean to you personally?
Mr. Brown? Mr. Garnett?
You want me to go first?
Yes,
no problem. So from a community level, from a men's perspective, we want to be recognized, not just because we are men, but what we contribute to our society as well. So from my point of view, being at the forefront of this, we want to be the ones who have somewhat of a contribution. So you would mainly see females getting all of the support when it comes to Mother's Day. You would see all of that advertisement for them. But it is good to have a day that men could come together and say, yes, we are men and sometimes we can struggle as well. So this day is not only about to seek what men have done, but to identify what sort of challenges men face throughout society and how we can advance such to make it better for us.
Dr. Offrey?
Yeah, I think adding to that, men are seen but not acknowledged. I will put in that sentence because men do a whole lot of stuff to ensure that even the normal running of the country, of an organization, the work that men put are being seen but not greatly acknowledged. And as such, we need, this is a forum for us to bring that awareness of what men are doing in the society to really agitate the drive for men to really want to do more. Because the thing about it is naturally that men should and are willing to do more. But if you are not acknowledged, it is not a motivation to even want to do more. So this is a forum where we acknowledge men for what they are doing and what they have been doing and what they are doing and what they will do, because naturally we are driven to do things. So I think this is very important, that International Men's Day is a day that should be greatly recognized, because even in the home system, in the home setting, if a man is not greatly acknowledged, he will not bring out the best that he can really give. So, but when he's acknowledged, he will go beyond and above to get things done.
But Dr. Offrey, let me just jump back to you, because do your peers, do your colleagues, and Mr. Garnett, you can chime in as well, do they feel the same way? Do they realize the value of this day based on what you're saying?
I want to believe that yes, generally the notion is men observe and do things, but will not express as much as the other gender would, right? But would instead hold things inside, and that might demotivate them also. That you see that the way at which they respond to situations or the way they react to an activity is not as much as when they have been acknowledged, right? So I would say yes, that I believe that, in my opinion, that most of my colleagues that are males would actually buy into this fact that they need to be acknowledged as much, and also their work being appreciated. Generally we see that female are being acknowledged in every aspect. Look at most of the works that or campaign that's been carried out. We have the breast cancer, mostly women that we push over, even cancer in general. But are we really celebrating prostate cancer as much as we push on for breast cancer? No. Are we really pushing? I know that colon cancer is generalized for both male and female, but are we really agitating that for male as well? So a lot of things, even the male, like at home, we're in festive period, right? Christmas time come, a father will ensure that the child or his woman has a gift, but won't acknowledge the fact that the man needs a gift as well. We just keep going and going and doing, but we need to be acknowledged as much as the females and other gender need to be acknowledged, because that alone is an agitator for us to want to do more.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Garnett, of course, you work within the community.
Yes, so from that perspective, he's correct. But what we want to see is that we are recognized, because if one isn't recognized to do such activities, then you won't really ambition to do it, because no one is recognizing you. So as a male, we tend to say, oh, he's a man, he's supposed to do such and such and such. Versus, okay, as a man, we need to give him his props because he's doing it, and he's doing it well. So from a community perspective, we have persons in the community that does work, do it successfully. But you won't hear it as much as other persons, mainly females and what's not, who organize activities, who do other stuff, and it comes out. So if we was to help one another as males, mainly males helping males, it would be better for us as a society, from a community level, come up to the holistic country level.
And Mr. Bone, that is exactly why the department organizes these activities for the months.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly. I want to piggyback on all that they would have said, and said that this, what it means to me, is a day that we can highlight the significant contribution of men in general. Sometimes, we, like all of them would have said, we don't get appreciated, and sometimes we just want to feel valued, like our manhood itself is valued. Sometimes, we feel like we're just going, like Dr. Ofe. Sometimes we feel like this is what expected of us, so we just do it, and everybody just expect that of us, and we just keep going and we're going, and we don't get the appreciation. We also don't get the support, as much as support as International Women's Day, as much as support as Mother's Day, and even Valentine's Day. You mostly women, you give roses and chocolate too, and so, but nobody think that the man also need roses and chocolate and feel loved.
Not only that, but have emotions as well.
Yeah.
So that we could, receive such with that level of empathy, sympathy. So I say, oh, he's giving me for Valentine's Day. What would happen if I send him a gift as well? Make him feel, loved or cherished.
If I may add to that, leniency as well. Men are less considered or lenient on in terms of giving the opportunity to make errors or mistakes compared to women. All right. In fact, I was watching the show when I saw that the woman was at wrong, but she was crying. The entire audience turned towards her, but the man was crying and nobody was looking at him. So it's easy for you to make a mistake, all right, at work or anywhere else, and being penalized compared to a woman making that mistake. So the support to really, is not there as much, and we fail to understand that just as women have emotions, we do have emotions as well.
Yes.
We need to be acknowledged, and as such, that plays a bigger role even to the young boys and the young boys and young men coming on. We make them feel like, oh, you have to be tough, not expressing yourself as a man. You know, you are not a man if you actually cry, and those things play a greater role to affect even the mental state of a child growing up,
yes.
and that really affects our long, you know, the lifespan of that person. So it's important that men are really acknowledged in all aspects.
There is an 11-year-old that I know, and he recently lost a relative of his, and his grandmother encouraged him not to cry. And I told him that no, you should cry, because it's important that you express yourself, that you don't have the emotion boxed up inside of you and it finds its way out into some negative way to expression. And that was a very important thing that I wanted to counter. But based on what you're saying then, what factors do you think contribute then to the negative images, or should I say maybe the less positive images that men have in our society, and how do you think it can realistically be changed? Mr. Brown, let me start with you.
I want to say something. Look at when, let's go to high school. A bunch of boys abuse a high school girl. Mm-hmm. You hear all the outrage, you see press release sent out and so on. When on the other foot now, a bunch of girls beat up a boy. You'll hear the silence and you'll hear the hush hush. Even though they may be penalized, you know, you won't hear the public outrage as much as you will hear it for the girls.
In fact, the public may say that he's a punk or some other word to get beaten up by females.
Yeah, so you see the double standard. I think there are greater expectation on us, and rightfully so, because we're supposed to be the leaders. I genuinely feel like we're supposed to be the leaders in our homes, in our communities, and in our workplaces, right? But sometimes, you know, there's so much pressure on us itself, so sometimes we buckle, and because of all these conventions and so on, you know, that we have to sign on to. You know, sometimes men in all of that get left behind. Mm-hmm. And it may not be intentional, but we end up getting left behind in terms of the programs and so on, even social safety protection programs and so on, even housing program, we get left behind. So housing solution, because everyone is thinking about the single mother, but nobody is thinking about the single father. Right, or about the young man who wants to leave his mother's house in order to have his children with him, right? So no one really thinking about that, and I really believe that, you know, mother and father is necessary to be in a household for mother. So I'll answer the question now: how can we better that? It would take our society approach. Society needs to change its mentality and attitude towards men in general. We have to, when we talk about domestic violence and gender-based violence, we have to see that we just not should be putting punishment against the perpetrator, but also think about rehabilitation instead. How can we rehab? Because maybe that guy or whoever had some trauma in his childhood. In terms of the health situation, we have to see how we can structure our health services differently. Community nursing, what about going to male-dominated work site and doing the basic checks and so on. In terms of our education system, you know, because we have a high school male normally drop out at a higher rate than girls in high school. How do we structure our education system in such a way that we are catering to those needs of the male students that are likely to drop out? Maybe don't let them go through the whole 5 years of the high school and just take them to a technical school that they can learn to do things with their hands right away. So just a suggestion, but there are things that we can do, but we need to change our perspective, our mentality, because men and women are built differently. We think differently, we're built differently. So we can't take the same approach that we take with women, with men.
I think I have to object a bit in terms of the technical aspect that you mentioned, because it feeds into the stereotype that women are the ones who should do the more administrative work, while men do more technical stuff. At the end of the day, and I had some persons from TVET here last week, and they indicated, of course, that they want more persons, more females in particular, to get involved in skills. And whenever there are training that is offered in such, Gender Affairs also did one as well, with women in non-traditional fields, the plumbing, the electrical, the tiling, etc. It was oversubscribed. It was oversubscribed, and so there is that thirst from women as well to become independent and to become skilled, so that they can able to not depend on others. Right. So, Dr. Alfred, let me come to you as well. To the question originally was, what factors do you think contribute to the less positive image of males, and how can it realistically be changed?
Cultural norms, things that we are brought up with to see and we thought that are normal. You know, seeing just as example you gave, that the child was told not to cry, you know, become a norm. If that child grew up to feel, without you making a correction, that child will grow up and feel like it is okay, and he has a child and he will tell that same information to that child and become a cultural norm. So what other things, some of those things like that can inhibit a man from being an effective man, you know, being the emotional aspect and also being the logical aspect. We know that there's a variety, there's a difference between a male and female. Women are more emotionally expressed, you know, more expressed and less logical, and men are more logical and less emotional. But all of that makes us a whole, right? And it's important that that aspect should be acknowledged. So some of these cultural norms need to be, you know, stopped. Just like you said also in respect to the work. Yes, I totally agree that we must also acknowledge the fact, without deceiving ourselves, that there are some jobs actually, not that we're stopping females from partaking in the job, but most men have the capacity to do more of that. And that's the truth about it. We may try to cover up, we may try to be more diplomatic in expressing ourselves, but the truth and fact is, it is more. Because even structurally, physiologically, we are built differently, right? So we need to acknowledge that. All right, that's why even male and female sport, as you see, males and females can compete together because our durability is different. And there's some things that men can handle that women can handle, and there's some things that women can handle that we totally can handle. So that can be one of the problems. And also, we are not, and the fact that we are not predisposed to education at an early age about, you know, men's health, you know, plays a major role. If a young man or young boy in school, in primary school, is being taught about issues that has to do with men, you know, I give an example when we had our private meetings, you know, with Gender Affairs in respect to this fitness work we're having. I brought an analogy. I said that, you know, there's a movie called 300, and we noticed that when the boys get to age 7, they separate them from the mothers and to spend more time with the fathers to build up durability and to build up confidence in them, because they have achieved all the emotional aspect they can get from the mothers, right? So they have to become tough based on the time frame they had at that time, right? So it's important. Those are some of the issues that we're having, and those things can be reduced when we accept the fact that we need to integrate some of these things and also creating policies that will help to strengthen men and their drive to become actually men in society.
Right, and that leads me to the next question, Mr. Garnett. I'd like to jump in here. How does the International Men's Day, in your opinion, contribute to the discussion about gender equity and gender equality?
So locally here in St. Kitts?
Yes.
I mean, they have started, when it comes, let's draw a comparison. Bring it back down here to St. Kitts and Nevis. You would see that sometimes you would have jobs that require certain payments because these are quote and unquote men role. You would hardly find female working in the construction sector versus on the land, solid waste aspect of waste management. So these are, when it comes to job equality, we want to know if females can do it, but these are jobs that you would see that lack female capacity. You'd also see jobs that will basically female oriented. Let us look at the schools. If you go to the school and mainly all of your teachers are females versus males, you know that automatically think that's a female job. Versus social services where I work, most of our social officers are female. You won't find a male doing, let's say, social work. So these are jobs that you would say they desire some level of equality, but when you come down, there isn't equality to say that out of 8 social officers, there are 4 males, 4 females.
Should there be?
Should there be?
Yes.
That's a good question, because when it comes to that social aspect, we want to feel comfortable. We want to feel that that person understands, empathize, and sympathize with us. A male would normally feel that way because how it goes up with a female person, that they could come to a female and said such and such is happening at their home, vice versa for the female. Certain jobs need certain level of personnel to work there that empathize and sympathize well. Females do that quite literally well compared to men, no doubt about that. But if we want to bring the comparison of what males require from themselves and them to bring it out to a male, now we have to reduce the stigma, societal stigma, that comes to men that says, okay, I'm going to this place and I need help. Not to go and say, but I'm going to this place and I need such and such doctor, a female doctor to deal with me because I don't want any male to touch me. So when it comes to equality, we have to know, it might sound a bit decisive, but we have to know the time and place as to when it would come into play. When it comes to equal pay, we understand equal pay, but St. Kitts, we now offer equal pay straight across the board. Information that I have, equal pay. So you have a standard minimum wage. It's not like you're going to come in and I'm going to get $10 and a female that comes in is going to get $5 because she's a female. Standardized in St. Kitts. The only thing that will be different is if I have more experience than you, that would equate that I'm getting more money than you. When it comes to climbing up the ladder, I think it's equal straight across the board for all men and female to climb up the ladder. Whether it's done equally, where it's the patriarchal way, where someone in a business and they have friends and family that could bring them up the ladder faster if you're a male versus a female. So you would have all these dynamics at work. So the best thing to do when it comes to equality, when it comes to jobs, pay scale, etc., is to have these discussions written down, policies implemented that guide the whole societal approach. So we know that males and females will get such and such amount of monies at such and such experiences. So it comes back to a parliamentary legalization part of view from that policies.
Well, of course, companies as well, too, they must be guided by their own conscience as well, too. And of course, you would encourage them to do the right thing. Gentlemen, we are up against the clock, so we're going to have to take our first break. And when we're going to come back, we're going to discuss something that is very typical in terms of men, something that they need to pay more attention to, and that would be their health. Yeah. So we're going to take a break and have that discussion. Okay. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more In Focus. Thanks for staying with us. We are having a discussion with Dion Brown, the Department of Gender Affairs, Dr. Matthias Offray, who is a National AIDS Coordinator, and also Chaddy Garnett, who is a Community Development Officer. And we're discussing men's issues here on In Focus as we celebrate International Men's Day throughout the month. Now, let's talk about health, as we mentioned. And Dr. Offray, I can probably start with you. Of course, most men don't see the doctor. Unfortunately, most times when we don't, it develops into something that could have been cured early or dealt with earlier from early prevention if you were to do a screening. What factors, cultural factors and specific barriers do you think that helps to prevent men from taking advantage of early screening?
Actually, I've come to understand that it's not just in St. Kitts. Actually, in the region, and in fact, I would say worldwide, men don't have this health-seeking passion or desire, right? So it is kind of very challenging for men sometimes. I think that it's not just for St. Kitts, but we realize that men actually don't see the need to actually seek out, and that has been a deterrent and a strong affecting factor, all right, that has led to a demise of most, young, valuable men, and every man, all right, in the Federation and also in the world. And I think that sometimes it's because of the fear, also the culture that we have created, that men are tough, are not supposed to seek help. So we only seek help, or you can man it up. and as such, before it's been diagnosed, or before you are diagnosed, it's almost at the end stage. We've seen that so many times, even in the hospital and also in clinical settings, where most men seek health when it has become, a very tight corner they have been put. In other words, it's the point of death. That's when they seek help, and as such, that is not good. So we are saying that it's important that men start seeking help at early time, because with that it can be detected on time, and prevention can actually be put in place as well to prevent the next stage of any illness whatsoever. Let's say it's cancer, for example. When you are diagnosed at early stage or stage 1, you can put under treatment and that can be eradicated. But if you're coming in at stage 4, that is more detrimental, because we'll be struggling to keep you alive instead of trying to ensure that your health be maintained. So we say that cultural beliefs or cultural perception people have created had made men feel like they don't need to really seek it. That's why we start from the beginning and saying that it's important that we as humans, men and female, encourage ourselves, especially men, to seek help. I keep telling my clients or patients whenever they come, I say, listen, if you're coming to do your screening, ensure to bring your boyfriend along, ensure to bring your husband along, ensure to bring your son along, because you are helping them create that mindset of being conscious about their health, and that alone creates an environment that even if you're not there, we are creatures of habit. Even if you're not there, they want to go. They'll tell you, what? I think it's time. How come you're not asking us to go do our checks, right? So that alone create that notion of wanting to go seek help, even when they feel like it's not really highly needed, but it's needed, because that in most cases, things that affect men go slowly in our perception, but truly the body's been affected greatly. Right. So we are asking that men turn up.
Right, it helps to normalize it when you make it a part of a routine.
Yes.
Right, absolutely. And of course, a couple of weeks ago, we had doctors Jarlett Woodley and Mark Grant, and of course, St. Kitts and Nevis would have recently acquired endoscopic equipment, and Dr. Grant made the point that by the age of 45, everyone should get screened for colon cancer. So it goes back to what you're saying, that it's not just necessarily for men alone, but also for women too. But the unfortunate part of it is based on practice, is that women are the ones who are more active. So gentlemen, Mr. Brown, and Mr. Garnett, from your standpoint, what is it do you do in your department, Gender Affairs and Community Development, to encourage men to do more screening and to take their health more seriously?
Okay, last year we had the theme was men's health matters, so we would have done a few talks about men's health, encouraging men to take their health seriously. Even me myself need to take my own health seriously. As I sit next to the doctor, hearing him saying, well, I haven't done a checkup for a while. So I think that, in terms of culturally, I think socially itself, how we were raised, like the mothers more protect the girls than they would protect the boy, and the boy would sometimes have to fend for himself, right? So if you get a cut off, so sometimes you learn how to just dust off that, put water in it, and just go again. But with the girl now, she fall and get a cut, it's almost as if she's much more tender than you see the plasters and your alcohol and different things come out, right? For the girl. So I think that in terms of gender affairs, we have starting to partner with the Ministry of Health in terms of seeing how we can encourage men to take their health more seriously, and we also brought along community development. As you can see, because the men are in a community, and I think that all of us are trying to work towards the same goal, right? So why not share our resources and in terms of knowledge or financial resources and our human resources as well. So that's what we decide to do, and we have something good coming next year.
Mr. Garnett, talk to us about how, as a community development officer, when you're out in the field, do you encourage men to pay more attention to their health, to take better care of themselves?
Okay, so I'm going to speak about Community Development Officer District number 7, which is Bellevue to Otley Scott. So I'm going to speak about from my perspective here. So what I have done, I think it was last year, 2 years back, was to introduce something to the fire officers in Tabernacle, where we had them come out and do their own test and what's not at the health center. So that was done successfully, but that wasn't done targeting mainly males. But fire officers are mainly a male-dominated force. Females did came along as well. What we did this year is to speak with the nurse to offer services for the general public within District 7. So we also get that done, but unsuccessfully, it was not completed as we would have thought. So what we want to do now next year is to bring something like a holistic approach to men's health. So we want to introduce men to counseling, which is something that they don't really want to get into the talks of. Not just counseling, but at a specific age, what checks needs to be done and where you can get such checks done. We also want to introduce them to the services offered by their local clinics, so they don't have to come to Basti and ask for these specific treatments. They can go to their local clinics, they can ask for blood pressure checks, they could ask for sugar level checks, they could ask for different levels of checks when it comes to your holistic body. So these are just some of the stuff we want to do in District 7. When it comes to persons after 62, we would have had discussion with diabetes, which is one of the most prevalent non-communicable diseases here on St. Kitts and Nevis, is to have a diabetic clinic which is done specific days in the clinics within that specific district, which is Mary Charles, Sylvia Garnett Primary Health Facility, and I think I'm missing one more. But those have specific days that have diabetics clinic. I did talks at the Sadler's Health Center with the diabetics there. So there are males that come in, we introduce them of how to manage their diabetes, how to go about it when it comes to food care, etc. These are not just services offered by myself, but the clinic as well. So you could go into your clinic, men, you can go into your clinic and ask for consultation. Speak with your doctors. Doctors come into the clinic and they offer their support. So in the community, we want to make sure that they understand that there are support out there when it comes to your health.
Are they receptive to your advice?
They are when it comes to what sort of conversation do we come up with. Because you have to approach the situation with some level of tact. You don't just want to get to the point quickly. You want to make sure that they understand that your health is what keeps you alive. You can't go about drinking here, there, and everywhere, and then knowing that 60 years down the line to be in full health condition, full peak. We would have to let you know that at some point in your life, some bad habits have to come. You have to make sure that your health is not good, not for yourself, but if you have children, to guard their safety. Because I would assume that you want to see your child graduate. You want to see your child get married. You want to see the best in your child. You can't see the best in your child if you're on your hospital bed. So go to your clinic, make sure that everything is okay with you, then we can talk about how you can manage your mental health and how we can move forward to involve you in the community in a holistic point of view.
I want to jump back to mental health, but before we get there, I first wanted to ask Dr. Offrey, because you spoke about the diabetes and the hypertension. What chronic diseases are most affecting men here in St. Kitts and Nevis?
Mostly we have hypertension. We also have diabetes. Those are the two major concerns that we have, and based on the statistics I have, it has increased. In fact, we've had about 1,968 deaths related to NCDs. All right, and this is
that's for this year,
this is for since 2017 through 2021. All right, so, and that is a huge number compared to the percentage of persons we have in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, 1,968 persons.
That's almost 2,000.
Yes, so it's a lot. So in adding to what he just really indicated, there are some community-based health programs that the Ministry of Health have implemented, and that's why I love the partnership we have been going to have a multi-sectoral, interministerial approach towards ensuring that there is a holistic response to patients and also to the citizens and of the Federation and residents of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And one of the things that we have done is Healthy Business Challenge, we recall Fitness and Wellness Challenge. So all businesses in the Federation, the Ministry of Health have partnered with them. That's why the SK moves came about, right? So each business places actually carry out an activities to win a point, which at the end of the year, there is an award related to that. All right, so at the end of this year, we will be having something like that, an award where points will be collected. That alone creates the mindset of conscious health, health consciousness in all business places to partake in that. The second thing we do is health screening in workplaces. Ministry of Health ensure that we go to health places, not just screen for HIV and other STIs. We also ensure that blood pressure has been checked, diabetes, sugar level are also addressed. So when we pick up something like that, we address them, connect them straight up to health to ensure that we can put that under control. That is one of the serious measures that we've had. In line with that, we have established men's health clinic in Keyon at present time, and we are looking forward expanding that approach to ensure that not just Keyon, but every health center in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis actually provide that services. So you can go, you don't have to leave Keyon or leave Poxon or Deer Bay to come to Basde or to Keyon to get the help. You can get it anywhere. So it's a more holistic approach to get this. Another thing we've done is to create sporting programs. That's why we try to involve with the sports department to ensure that we encourage them not only to exercise but also to eat healthy. That's where the nutrition comes in, to ensure that we educate them properly and make that available. And also, one of the things that we're looking at, that's why I love the fact that we are partnering with gender affairs and also community-based, development, to create a forum where men can feel so free to actually talk, counsel themselves, and also have professionals to actually be there to counsel them on how and where to actually get their issues addressed. Because men don't talk. We know that. We don't really talk, more or less to females and more or less to ourselves, but we can create an avenue where each of us can feel so comfortable enough to actually address issues that, that's affecting us. Lastly, we have created what we call mobile health units. We have a mobile health unit that goes around the island, stop in a given local area, and actually render services to people in that area. That maybe the health center is far away, so they don't want to stress themselves going over there. We render that health services there, screening, counseling, and also, a motivation for them to see the need to draw themselves close to taking their health serious. That's why we keep saying your health, your responsibility. But we can help each of us to actually take our health very serious.
So basically you're integrating the mental health into the broader public health strategy.
Yes, and it's very important. We know that mental health plays a vital, major role in all of this. In fact, starting from the beginning, what we start discussing about, mental health has a role. If a man is not privy to really express distressor, what do you think? That will increase, stress hormones, and that alone can lead to anxiety, that alone can lead to depression, and that alone can lead to so many other things that will affect the man. And as such, the people have different way of coping, and some people can't really cope. If there's no opportunity for them to cope, they can't really cope, and as such, that leads to crime, that leads to increase in crime, that leads to increase in abuse, that leads to increase in things that we don't want to see in our environment. So with this, it's a holistic approach to addressing health in general and also men's health.
And so, Mr. Brown, that essentially is what the department would have done, because this year, as part of the activities for International Men's Day, there is an incorporation of having a health fair. Yes. And that came out of a men's symposium that the department had. Tell us about that.
Well, the men's symposium, we had it in July, and it had major turnout from men. We actually had men making testimonies about their, in terms of their health. One man got up and gave a testimony, said that he had stage 4 cancer and how difficult it was, and so on, and encouraged other men to get the checks and so because of what he, and that's what Dr. Ofe was speaking about. When we come together and we're able to talk and encourage each other to seek our help, I think it's a work. I just think we need spaces that we can do that.
The term they use is safe space. It's a safe space.
Yes, safe space, yes. So we just need a safe space where we can come and, just encourage each other to network and and that would do good for your mental health as well, as we were just speaking about. And so because you get to express yourself, you get in a healthy way. And so say what you on your mind, what you have been going through. I think sometimes those safe spaces are not there. And why I say that is sometimes we go into spaces that we think are safe, right? And we are met with a lot of prejudice and judgment, and that can have us go back into ourselves, not really wanting to express how we feel. It happens in the workplace, it happens in schools, it happens even at home. We feel like there are not any safe spaces, right? Spaces that are supposed to be safe are not so safe, right? So the symposium was in many instances a safe space for men. For that reason, we banned females from entering the room. First of all, no female were allowed in the room, they had to go away as where we can just discuss. We had panel discussions and so on. So as you said, the health fear, right? The suggestion of a health fear came out of the symposium because the men themselves saw how important it is to for them to check their health as well. One of the things they were saying that even though clinics are free, and as much as you tell them go to the clinic, a lot of them still don't go, right? And that's the reality of it. And I know you have the men's health clinic in Keyon, but I would like to know how successful that has been for in terms of men going, and what are the numbers looking like, right? But we say men don't really go out, and we have low health-seeking behavior. So if men not seeking, and I mentioned this before, you go to them, you go to them because they're not coming to you. So if Muhammad not going to them, the mountain not coming to Muhammad, you carry Muhammad to the mountain.
And I believe that is where Dr. Offer, you mentioned, of course, the mobile clinics that take place, that they go around and they go to the men. But a part of the response from that is the health fair. So I want to focus a bit on the health fair now that is going to be taking place. I think it's November 23.
Yes,
that's a walk, right? Yes. So there's a walk and there's a health fair. Yes. Dr. Offer, tell us about the services that will be available there.
So some of the services that will be rendered there at the health fair after the short walk, not a long walk. If you said the route at which we'll be taking is a short walk. All right, so by the time you get there, we already have everything set already. So we're having blood pressure checks, we'll be having prostate screening, we're having sugar checks as well, and we hope to have urine analysis as well to ensure that we provide the services that we can provide at that given space at a given time, and all of that is free. And also there'll be a booth where we'll have counselors actually providing counseling in terms of general lifestyle changes and general issues that affect men. All right, so those are the services that will be provided there. And I want to also bring back a little bit, adding a little bit to what Mr. Brown just indicated. It is very important that we look into men's health, because truly men are the foundation of any society, and that's the truth about it. And if you look into it, yes, we have the men's health clinic going on, which is doing well, but could be better. And that's why we're trying to have decentralize it in such a way that each area we can have men assessing health. Also, looking into that, imagine if we have, this will be a motivation, we'll find a route so we can motivate men to also be nurses. Because if we have male nurses, some men will feel comfortable to address issues that are affecting them to male nurses. I'm not saying it's an act of discrimination, but it's an act of variety. All right, just like some female will say, oh, I prefer a female gynecologist, or I prefer a male gynecologist. You have the options for you to really assess whatever you need, when you need it, and how you need it, to ensure that your health is at the best that you can be. So it's very important that we do that. And we're getting there, and hope that by next year, this National Men's Health Campaign that the Ministry of Health in partnership with and Gender Affairs and Community Development and any other organization that is willing to partake in this drive, will be a better thing tomorrow. So if you're a man and you are out there, you have a brother, you have a sister, your brother, or have a son, ensure to bring them out there, because that is an avenue to actually showcase your willingness and your motivation to get men's health back in track where it's supposed to be. Because truly, if the men keep dying, the population as well as the infrastructure and also the running of the country would definitely decline with time. So we're looking at ensuring that men are motivated, encouraged to take their health as a top-notch first priority to ensure that they are efficient in all they do.
Mr. Garnett, are you mobilizing men to participate in this health fair and walk on Saturday, November 23rd?
Yes, and in between. So we would have the advertisement that is going out on this on social media. So we would have hoped that everyone who is on social media would have seen the ad, we would have seen the poster that is up. So we've sent it to multiple persons within the community to put it up on their social media pages so that they can come out. Not just men, but we want to target, we say we won't want females there, but we know females is the one that brings out the males. So we want to target them as well, but let females know that they're taking a step back when it comes to this, and it's going to be male-dominated. So the community-level advertisement, it is out there. It's just for them to shop.
In adding to that, each woman, be you have a boyfriend, or you have a son, you have a husband, ensure to push them out on the 23rd. It's important that we push them out. Push them out to ensure that they're out there to protect themselves and out there to get their health checked. Because with that, if your man is healthy, trust me, you will be okay, because he can help you lift up things. He can help you ensure that he is healthy enough to take care of you and take care of the family. So it's important, push your boyfriend, push your son, and push your husband to come out to ensure. And also we have even some churches actually, we reach out to churches as well to ensure that they advertise this also in the churches. Send your men out, let them come and get checked. We've reached out to even the forces, the police. We have reached out to Defense Force, reached out to the Fire Force, the fire department. They are all on board, ensuring that they are part of this. This is a big deal. Remember the song they say, "I'm a big deal." Men are a big deal. So we want to ensure that your man is a big deal by keep checking his health. So ensure that you send your men out there to take part in this. In fact, we're looking forward to have even the cabinet members being there to showcase, their support to men, because we look up to them as our leaders, and we believe that we're going to see them be even strong, active in partaking in this healthy challenge and healthy work.
And it goes back to something that you mentioned earlier, a recent from the Prime Minister. I believe it might have been one of the round tables that he had. He mentioned in terms of while men are out there to support women in breast cancer, how many persons are there responding to helping to promote prostate cancer.
Yes.
That's, that is something that's very important. So, Mr. Brown, if you can tell us just basically where to walk, what the time it's going to begin, and the fair.
Okay, so we start at the walk. That is, start at the Caribbean Cinemas parking lot at 5:30. We want to leave at 6 o'clock.
And that will be 5:30 a.m.
A.m. Yeah, 5:30 a.m. Yes, 5:30 a.m. in the morning. Well, a.m. in the morning. And then we will leave the parking lot at Caribbean Cinemas parking lot at 6 o'clock. We'll go on to the F.T. Williams Highway to the Lions Roundabout. And then we go down to the Moravian Church down there, and we go down Victoria Road onto 4th Street, come across Central Street into the square. And as we hit the square, that's where the health fair will kick off, right? Dr. Ofer would have mentioned the different screening and checks we would have there. So we want to, I want to say, we encourage all men to come and get their checks, and also to walk as well. We want them to walk, because why we added a walk is that we realize that physical activity also contributes to a healthy lifestyle as well. So, we thank Dr. Ofer for that. He's the one that suggested the walk, right? We were just going to do a health fair. But, Dr. Ofer, convinced us to do the walk, and And we saw the wisdom in the walk. Right?
When does the health fair end?
We want to end by midday.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, by midday, 12 p.m.
Is that enough time? Because the argument to be there's some men who are working between 8 to 12.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it's a first initiative, and we want to ensure that the strategy we put in place to ensure that adequate resources are put in place. You just don't want to, extend the time and then it become cumbersome. We want to ensure that it's a controlled environment, and we hope that the next year when we have the National Men's Health Campaign, in collaboration with all our partners, it will even be more efficient than what it is. This is first of its kind, and we believe that going forward, the services that we provide will be even much more recognized than what we're doing. We want to, in fact, I don't think we really have anything like that in the Caribbean. We'll be the first of its kind happening in the Caribbean region, and we want to actually pioneer this and push it so much that other countries will want to buy into what we're doing and even doing much more bigger. And so each year and each activities we carry, we want to make sure that it's the best. And if we look at it, I want us to, it's a thing that we want to move not just now, but how can we actually integrate it into our lifestyle and also the young people coming. So that's why I'm looking at the schools, I'm looking at workplaces, I'm looking at community awareness campaign, I'm looking at, even policies. How can the policies be, created to actually help to innovate and also motivate men to do activities? Do you know, I saw an advert, in Russia, you can actually do 30 squats and get a free train ticket.
Really?
Yes. So imagine that alone, yes, it's an incentive. Incentivize things to ensure that people really buy in to do that. So you squat, that alone, that might have to reduce the risk of that person being exposed to cardiovascular issues or other issues related to, sedentary lifestyle. So that alone is something that we can do. What are the policies that can actually be implemented to reduce the chance of people being exposed to NCD and leading to mortality rates?
Right. So there's about 8 minutes left on the clock, and so we're going to skip our final break, Dr. Offer, because I can't have you here as the National AIDS Coordinator and not ask you about sexually transmitted infection and as it relates to men. What are the trends showing? Oh,
thank you for that. Sexual health is one of the topics that it's not greatly, really emphasized because I not say because, I will say it's not really greatly emphasized, and this is what the Ministry of Health has been pushing so much, and we are seeing that and pushing so much on that to ensure that it is more acknowledged now and more will be done. So sexual health affects every aspect of a man's life. That's the truth about it. That's why we're talking about erectile dysfunction. That is sexual health. We're talking about, the illness that affects the meat that comes with the fact that we feel that if I am okay, if there's only the woman that gets sick, but there are some illnesses like chlamydia can actually be asymptomatic in a man for a while, right? So we feel that we're okay, but we are not okay, so that's why we're encouraging, that people do screening. So sexual health is one of the vital aspects. That's why we're educating people, educating the Federation, especially men, that it is important that we take sexual health information very important, and seriously, and also seek help. Whenever you go for a general health screening, ask those vital questions about your sexual health, and the physicians will be there to provide you information that will also help you. Because there are some also diets and food that we eat that can actually affect us as men that may not affect women. All right, so that alone plays a vital role. So if you are not efficient as a man, psychologically you are being affected. And as such, even your response now will be not a pleasant one. So sexual health is actually a topic that we are driving hard in the heart of the people, in the minds of the people in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, especially to men. Knowing that there's some medication that because of the lack of proper lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle or the sedentary lifestyle they had, or the activities they have carried out in their younger age can actually affect them now, and medication they are taking to maintain themselves is affecting their their sexual health and also perhaps their organ and also reproductive health. So we are trying our best to reach out to men as much as possible, creating forum where men can really express themselves and also seek help and we can actually educate them and provide the vital information that they need to live an adequate and functional life.
Mr. Garnett, is there any persons that you would have reached out to when you have these forums? Are they comfortable discussing their sexual health?
For me, I'm going to tell you the honest truth. I am not Dr. Offrey. So I won't go to someone and speak to, I don't have that level of tact as yet. I hope working with Dr. Offrey Gender, I would have that tact to say, excuse me, young man, what's going on with you? And to sort of build up to that. So when it comes to the sexual aspect, I leave that to the professionals. I would mainly target them and let them know that these are the persons you would speak to get your health checked out, ask them about what is going on with them. But for me personally, I've left it to the health professionals.
Okay, but is that a topic that is often discussed amongst themselves, or based on the trends that you're seeing?
Amongst young men specifically, that's one of the main topics that we tend to speak about, because it's there. You see it in social media. The main prevalent thing you would see, sex, drugs, and money. If it isn't one, it is the other. Mainly we target is sex. Sex is more ramped up among young men because we testosterone is building. We have that appetite. We want to go out and conquer everything. So that is something that we will see mainly among young men. I don't know if Dr. Offrey would have these statistics, but you would also see that there are much higher cases of HIV and AIDS amongst young men when it comes to their sexual appetite, their sexual well-being, etc. Some person would carry it, they don't know that they are carrying it until when they pass it on to someone else, and someone else actually go and do a test and they realize that, oh, I'm HIV infected, what are my next step? This is something that would be important for people to know, that it builds up. You don't just jump from HIV to AIDS one time. It takes a time for you to develop AIDS. So it is to find out first who you are in terms of your status and the status of your sexual partner. We are young. We will notice that we want to hit everything that moves. So in terms of that, we want to make sure that when we're hitting everything that moves, the thing that moves is compatible. So you don't want to get in a state where you're having intercourse with someone, you are sick, your life expands, your life tends to decrease significantly. But not to discourage persons who have it, because you can live a normal life with HIV and AIDS. There's medication that is out there that persons, although they're sick, their, what is called, the count does not show up. Yes, does not show up, so that they can still live a good life. So it is for them, young men, you're out there in the community, when you hear the conversation comes up with sex and what's not, it will be hard at first, but you want to make sure that your brethren is okay. Simple questions could lead you to simple solutions. You ask question, but if that girl is okay, you would say yeah. Somebody would say, but I hear something about that girl that's going up and down the road with all sorts of people, but check yourself, make sure everything okay with you. These sort of conversation would lead to men's health, leads to the upliftment, because you might go to the doctor indicating that something is off. Bear in mind that you only go for maybe a sexual illness. Then the doctor might say, okay, something is off differently with you. Let us do a check on doing something else. Have you done a prostate check? That's why I said I would leave it to the professionals. Talking to them would lead to other sort of things. Because I might look at the first appearance. They might look at the holistic appearance of the person. And
that is where Dr. Offrey, the early screening comes in.
Yes, and it's very, very important. And that's why we start as early as, the primary schools, talking to them. Because trust me, I have come to privy to some information that has to do with even the young people, the older folks. This HIV is not discriminatory. It has no face. And when we're talking to them about it, we have health educators that goes to the schools talking to them about, STIs and HIV. And I'm telling you, it's something that is real. And some people act as if it's not there. So start educating them about abstinence, start educating them about, prevention, and start educating them on commodities they can properly use to actually reduce that. And it's okay if let's say somebody's been predisposed to HIV, it's not a death sentence, actually, because there are treatments to actually bring up your CD4 count and actually reduce the viral load so low that it's become undetectable equals untransmittable. That's why I said, we always have on our shirts saying, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you positive you're negative?"
Right.
You know, so are you positive you're negative? It's important that you know your status, but because it's not on the face, you can't really tell who has and who doesn't have, and that's why we encourage people. Ensure that you protect yourself by protecting others. You know, it's not about you coming to get yourself checked. You can come and get yourself checked. How about your partner? All right, and ensure that you use your protection as much as, in fact, always use your protection. We know that, of course, reproduction requires, you know, not using protection, but you're taking a well-calculated risk, well-informed risk. So with you going in, knowing what you're going in for, and both parties must have screened themselves adequately and willing to achieve a goal that has been set before them.
Ultimately, of course, preventing illness is way better than having to cure an illness. Mr. Brown, we're out of time for the program, but I'll give you an opportunity just to tell persons where they can find more about the activities that will be slated for the rest of the month.
Okay, first I want to say, you know, I know I'm a little late, but happy belated International Men's Day. It was yesterday. So to you, Ian, Dr. Ofer, and Chadi Garnett, happy belated International Men's Day. In terms of the activities, you can find it on the Gender Sinkis Facebook page, Gender Nevis Facebook page, the Ministry of Social Development and Gender Affairs social Facebook page. It's on Instagram. We're trying to get it on Twitter as well. So it's on our different social media handles. And for the work, it will probably be on the Ministry of Health Facebook page as well. So we are trying to promote International Men's Day as much as possible, and we do need the support of the women as well to help us promote, and because a healthy man means a healthy family, and a healthy family means a healthy community, and a healthy community means a healthy country.
Right, that's a good point to end it on right there, and we'll ensure that we share it on the Facebook page of the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service. Dion Brown, Dr. Offrey, Chadi Garnett, thank you so much for joining us for this edition of InFocus.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
We'd like to thank you, viewers and listeners, for joining us for this edition as well. Be sure to join us next week at the same place at the same time for another edition. For now, I'm Ian Richards.
Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.